So, like most of us, I was young and naive at the age of 14. And that's when this beautiful, lovely lady named Mary Jane decided to introduce herself to me. Now, I didn't know it back then, but by now I think I'd call her my first love. I always wanted to meet her, but the story really didn't kick off until I met my buddy Liam. Now, Liam grew up with Mary Jane, and I really wanted to meet her, so we kind of just hit it off and became best buds after that. So, after a few times of hanging out with Liam, we decided it was finally time. We had to go across town to meet our buddy Josh in order to get the stuff. It took about a 2 hour walk to finally get down to Josh's place. Mind you, I've never been on this side of town before, so I was a little sketched out, but I knew I really wanted to meet Mary Jane. I had my entire life savings of $200 in my pocket at that time, which in hindsight was a very stupid idea. Now, I called Josh my buddy, but to be honest with you, I barely knew him at the time. He came out of his house with all the things that we would have needed: an Xbox, a bong, and Mary Jane. Now, mind you, I was very young, so we had to find a very discreet place to smoke this. Also, at the time, weed was not legal in my country, but it did get legalized about a year later or 2 years later after these events. Now, the more I got to know these guys, the more I knew that these were definitely my kind of people. We were outsiders, but not stupid ones. We were the outsiders who kind of got along with everyone, just we wanted our own little thing, not to be in that friend group of 30 people. We could just tell it was fake in a way, so I was looking for something a little more real. We made our way down to the train tracks, and it felt a lot safer there, and it was quiet. There was no one around, and it was finally time. I didn't realize it, but this was the start of a ritual that I would repeat over and over and over again for a very long time after this. Just kidding, because Josh pulls out half a bong from his backpack and it is completely shattered. So we start off by playing pass with a shattered bong, and we're just throwing it around in the on the train tracks and stuff, and it's shattering, and it was so bad, but it was a lot of fun. Now, little me was in luck because these guys were quite experienced, and we decided to go down to the gas station and grab a like one of those big Gatorade bottles. And my friend kept telling me it was going to be okay. I was still going to meet Mary Jane. And I didn't see how that was quite possible now that our equipment was destroyed. So I get this Gatorade bottle, I fork up some cash for it. We get down to the train tracks once again. It probably took around 30 more minutes. We drank the Gatorade, and then we left enough Gatorade in it for bong water. Or I guess you could say bong juice in this scenario. My buddy Liam then proceeds to put the lighter on the side of the Gatorade bottle and slowly melts the plastic over the bowl piece so that he can push the bowl piece into the Gatorade bottle. So now that we had our makeshift bong, they let me do the honors and have the first rip. And that was the start of the ritual. Now they packed me what they were calling a fatty, which was weed straight up to the rim of this bowl piece, and it was my very first time. It was not a good idea, but I was ready, and I was really looking forward to this moment for quite a while at this point, honestly. They cheered me on when I was inhaling as much as I possibly could. I couldn't finish all the weed that was inside that bowl piece, though. It was my very first time. After I cough up a lung, I look out into the forest, and I was just taking it all in as my brain and my body started to change the way it felt, and it was so weird and it was so surreal. And I turn over to Liam and I go, Liam, how long was I staring out into the forest for? And then Liam looks back at me and he goes, well, me and Josh just finished at least 5 bowls, so probably like 20-30 minutes. And that's when I knew I was fried. So we walk back down to Liam's house, and Josh sets up his Xbox. I proceed to order an extra large pizza with nothing but black olives and pepperoni on it. I proceeded to give Josh and Liam their rations of 1 slice because I was defending that pizza with my life. I devoured the entire thing in about 30 minutes. At this point, Josh started calling himself a superhero and just completely runs out of the house, and then I crashed. To be honest with you, it was an amazing experience. I had such a good time that I went down to a girl's house that very next day with my buddy Liam, and we did the exact same thing. I didn't know it at the time, but I was falling in love with Mary Jane, and there were going to be times where I couldn't get her, and there were going to be times where she was very accessible to me. But COVID was probably one of those times where I was using her the most. Or maybe I should say she was using me. Because every time before this, it was always for fun. It was always recreational. It was always just something to do. But now I started using it as something to ease the pain. It was nihilism, to be honest with you. I truly believed that nothing matters, and I couldn't possibly figure out why we were on this floating rock in outer space, and nothing made sense to me. It was hard, but I was in luck because Mary Jane had my back, or so I thought. I was with her a lot. We spent a lot of time together to the point where instead of calling her weed, I started calling her happy, because that's how she made me feel. When I was with her, my problems would go away. When I was with her, there was nothing wrong with me anymore, because I really just wanted to feel like everything was okay. I would introduce her to people, which I regret now, but it was so normalized to me that I didn't see anything wrong with it. Now today, obviously, my mind has changed a lot. I now realize that if nothing matters, anything you want to matter can matter, and that was pretty much the fix to my nihilism. It was realistically just a realization. But by the time I was 19, which is the legal age where I am, I was able to do it whenever I wanted to. There were dispensaries everywhere, so I would do it a lot. I started doing it every single day for a while. For quite a long while, honestly, for probably 2 years of my life. And those 2 years just completely slipped away from me, like they never really happened. Now, I do want to say there are some benefits to the substance, but in my personal case, it really was a net negative for me. It didn't affect my life in a good way. It, in fact, took more away from me than it gave to me. But it made food taste better. It made songs sound better. It honestly just elevated life, and that's why I did it. But when I started doing it every single day and that became my normal state, I would notice some pretty bad side effects. For example, I couldn't really eat or sleep if I didn't have it, like properly at least. I could eat and sleep, it was just very small portions. I lost my appetite pretty much completely, and I couldn't sleep for at least 24 hours when I was off of it. And I started to really notice that it was a problem for me because I felt like I genuinely needed it to get through my day-to-day life. Now, it didn't help that pretty much everyone around me was doing it at this point. When I first started doing it, I was kind of like weird for doing it, I guess. Like a lot of the people around me that were my age looked at it as like something like, oh, the bad kids. And then literally a year later, every single person I knew was doing it. Looking back now, that made it even more normalized to me. And as I said, it was a very normal thing. Everyone around me did it. So I didn't think twice about the bad consequences and side effects of the substance. One of the things I didn't realize until I stopped was I started having dreams again, which I genuinely didn't have dreams for like 2 years, which is absolutely crazy to me. But if I'm going to be honest with you, the reason why I quit was because of how unproductive and lazy it made me. It made me get nothing done for about 2 years of my life. I mean, I was working a part-time job and I was making my ends meet, but I wasn't doing anything I actually wanted to do with my time. So I decided to put it down and actually start my life. So as most first loves go, Mary Jane and I did not work out. I don't hate her and I don't resent people who use her, but if you want to do something with your life, I wouldn't be shocked if she was the thing holding you back. Thank you.